What would you do if your whole life was built on secrets, and the past came back to destroy everything? Follow Daniel's gripping journey as he uncovers the truth about his family, faces a dangerous brother he never knew, and fights to protect the only home he's ever had. This story is about family, survival, and the choice to keep fighting when all hope seems lost. Don't miss this intense tale of secrets, betrayal, and unexpected twists. You ever have that weird feeling, like something in your family just doesn't add up, but you can't put your finger on it? That was my childhood in a nutshell. I grew up thinking we were just another average poor family scraping by. Turns out, the truth was way messier than I ever imagined. We lived in a rundown house on the edge of town, the kind with peeling paint and a porch that groaned under your weight. My dad worked nights at a warehouse, and my mom did odd cleaning jobs whenever she could get them. I was the oldest of three, me, my little brother Ben, and our baby sister, Lila. Most days we had just enough to get by. Other days, not so much. I remember being 7 and asking my mom why we didn't have a TV like the other kids. She just smiled and said, "We don't need one, honey. We've got each other." At the time, I believed her. No, not so much. There was always this one room in our house that stayed locked. It used to be my grandparents' room, back when they were still alive. When they passed, my parents just shut the door and left it that way. They told us it was being used for storage, and we weren't allowed to go in, ever. I didn't think much of it until I got older. Maybe around 11, I started to wonder, why was it still locked after all these years? What were they hiding? Then came the night everything started to unravel. It was one of those humid summer nights when sleep just wouldn't come. I was lying in bed, staring at the ceiling fan spinning slowly overhead, when I heard voices, my parents talking, arguing softly in the kitchen. That wasn't new. They fought a lot more when they thought we were asleep. But this time, my mom said something that stuck in my head like a splinter. "He's going to find out eventually, you know. We can't keep this up forever." I sat straight up in bed. Who was he? What couldn't they keep up? I tiptoed down the hallway and crouched behind the wall near the kitchen. My dad's voice was low and rough. "If he finds out what's in that room, it's over. For all of us." That was it. That was the moment I knew something was seriously wrong. From that night on, the locked room became my obsession. At first, I tried asking about it casually. "Hey, Mom, do you think we could clean out Grandma's room sometime?" She'd change the subject. Every time. I asked Dad once, and he gave me this look like I just asked him to dig his own grave. "Don't ever go near that room." Got it? Yeah, totally normal parenting behavior. When I was 15, I finally made up my mind. I was going to find a way in. It wasn't easy. The door had an old-fashioned keyhole, but we didn't have the key. Believe me, I checked every drawer, every cabinet. Nothing. So I waited for the perfect opportunity. And one day, it came. My parents were out running errands, and I was home alone. I grabbed a bobby pin from my sister's drawer, don't ask how I knew where she kept them, and I sat in front of that door like I was trying to defuse a bomb. My heart was pounding so loud I could hear it in my ears. It took me 30 minutes, but the lock finally clicked. I opened the door slowly, half expecting alarms to go off or something. But it was quiet. Dust floated in the sunlight streaming through the slats in the blinds. The air smelled like mothballs and something else, something sharp and metallic. At first glance, it looked like a normal old room. An empty bed frame. Some stacked boxes. But then I noticed the floorboards near the window were different. One of them had a notch, like it had been pried up before. I got down on my knees and started lifting. Beneath the loose board was a metal box. Heavy. I pulled it out, heart racing, hands shaking. Inside were stacks of cash. Not just a few bills, this was serious money. Bundles of hundreds, wrapped in rubber bands. And buried under the cash were documents. Birth certificates. IDs. None of them were ours. None of the names matched. And at the very bottom of the box was a photo. A family. Smiling. A man, a woman, and a boy that looked exactly like me. But it wasn't us. I sat there frozen, staring at a picture of strangers who looked like my family. Only they weren't. That was when I heard the front door slam. My parents were home. I panicked, threw everything back into the box, shoved it under the floorboard, and ran to my room. I lay there, pretending to sleep, heart beating out of my chest. I didn't know what I just found, but I knew one thing for sure. My family had been lying to me, and I was going to find out why. I didn't sleep a wink that night. Every sound made me jump. Every creak in the floorboards felt like it was coming for me. I kept thinking, what if they knew I opened the door? What if they saw me somehow? I expected my dad to barge in and start yelling or worse. But morning came, and nothing happened. They acted like everything was normal. But it wasn't. Nothing felt normal anymore. I looked at my parents differently, like strangers. I looked at myself differently, too. That photo of the boy who looked like me but wasn't me, it was burned into my brain. I started watching them, listening more closely, trying to catch every detail. That's when I noticed the little things. Dad always kept his wallet in his back pocket, but never let anyone near it. Mom would disappear for hours with no explanation, coming back with bags she never showed us. One night, I even saw her crying in the backyard, just sitting there in the dark, mumbling to herself. I tried asking about the photo, just to test the waters. "Hey, do we have any old family pictures? Like from before I was born?" Mom's hands froze mid-dish. "Why?" "Just curious." She didn't answer, didn't smile, just went back to scrubbing like her life depended on it. Something was eating at them. I could feel it. And whatever it was, it had something to do with me. School wasn't much of a break either. I couldn't focus. My grades started slipping. Teachers called home. My dad gave me the usual straighten up lecture, but it didn't land the same anymore. How could it? when I couldn't even trust that he was my dad. The worst part? I couldn't talk to anyone about it. Not my friends. Not my siblings. I didn't want to scare them, especially Ben. He was only 10, still thought Dad hung the moon. But Lila, she was different. She was only 7, but she saw more than she let on. One night she came into my room, holding her stuffed bunny like a shield. "Are Mom and Dad mad at you?" she whispered. I looked at her, surprised. "No." "Why?" "'Cause you don't eat with us anymore. And you don't laugh. You used to laugh." I hugged her tightly. I wanted to tell her everything, but I didn't even know where to start. That's when I decided to go back into the room. This time, I waited until everyone was asleep. I crept out of bed, used the bobby pin again, though the lock was looser now, and slipped inside. I brought my phone with me and snapped pictures of everything, just in case. This time, I dug deeper. I pulled the box back out, checked the documents more carefully. One of the birth certificates had a name I didn't recognize, Daniel Rowe. Born the same year as me. Same birthday, even. But different parents. And there it was again, another picture of that smiling family. The same boy. The same face. I wasn't losing my mind. Something was wrong with my entire life. The next morning, I confronted Mom. I didn't plan it. I just snapped. "Who is Daniel Rowe?" I asked her in the kitchen while she was making coffee. Her hand froze. The mug slipped from her grip and shattered on the floor. "What did you say?" "I found the room. I saw the documents. The money. The pictures. Who is he?" Her face went pale. I swear, it was like watching someone's soul leave their body. "You weren't supposed to find that," she whispered. "Who is he?" I demanded. Tears welled up in her eyes. She sank down into a chair like her knees gave out. For a second, I thought she wasn't going to say anything. Then, she looked up at me with this tired, broken look. "You are." I just stared at her. "What?" "You're Daniel," she said. "That's your name. You were born to someone else. Someone, dangerous. We took you because it was the only way to keep you safe." I couldn't speak. My mouth moved, but no words came out. She kept going, rambling now. "Your real father, he was in trouble. The kind of trouble you don't come back from. Your mother begged us to take you before he could drag you down with him. She disappeared. We didn't think we'd ever have to tell you." I stumbled back, hit the wall behind me. "So I'm not your son." "You are," she said quickly. "You are our son. In every way that matters." But I couldn't breathe. My whole body felt like it was floating or falling. I wasn't sure which. That night, I didn't eat dinner. I didn't talk to anyone. I just lay in bed, staring at the ceiling again. Except this time it felt like the world had flipped upside down. Everything I knew was a lie. But one thing was clear: if my birth parents were involved in something dangerous, and if my adoptive parents were this scared of the truth coming out, then maybe the danger wasn't over. Maybe it was only just beginning. I didn't talk to my mom for 3 days after that. Every time I looked at her, I saw someone who'd stolen a life, not just from me, but maybe even from my real family. And even though she cried every time she tried to explain, part of me didn't care. I just wanted the truth. The full truth. But what I got instead was someone new. He showed up on a Thursday. I was skipping last period that day, don't judge me, I needed the headspace. I walked down to the diner near the highway, the one with the sticky booths and the jukebox that only played old country music. I was sitting at a table near the window with a soda, staring out at nothing, when a man walked in. He looked out of place. Too clean. Sharp suit, dark sunglasses, even though it was cloudy. He scanned the room once, then walked straight up to my table like he knew me. "You're Daniel Rowe," he said. I nearly choked. "I think you've got the wrong person," I mumbled. He pulled off his sunglasses and looked me dead in the eye. "You look just like your father." I felt like the air had been sucked out of the room. "I don't know what you're talking about," I said, standing up. He held out a card. Plain white. Just a name and a number. "I think you do. When you're ready to talk, call me." Then he turned and walked out like it was just another day. I didn't even breathe until he was gone. My hands were shaking. I stared at the card like it might explode. The name on it? Martin Bishop. Private investigator. That night, I told my mom. Or rather, I cornered her with it. I showed her the card. Her face drained of color so fast I thought she might faint. "Where did you get this?" she whispered. "He found me. Said I look like my real dad." She snatched the card out of my hand like it was poison. "You can't talk to him. Promise me, you won't call." I crossed my arms. "Why?" "Because the people he works for, they don't want to find you for the right reasons." I didn't believe her. Not fully. Not anymore. "Then tell me who my dad is. The truth this time." She shook her head. "It's not that simple. He wasn't a good man, Daniel. He was involved with people who hurt others. People who vanish without a trace when they get too close. We thought if we kept you hidden, you'd be safe." "And what about my mom?" I asked. That question seemed to knock the wind out of her. "She's gone. Gone like dead, or gone like you don't know where she is." She looked down. "Both." That night I didn't sleep again. I kept thinking about that man, Martin Bishop. How he knew my name. How he found me. How he looked like someone who could ruin everything with one phone call. And despite what my mom said, I called him the next day. The voice on the other end was calm. Professional. "I was wondering when you'd call." "I want answers," I said. He told me to meet him at a park 2 towns over. Said it was safer there. So I went. I told no one. Not even my best friend. We met near a picnic table under some oak trees. He came alone. Or at least I think he did. "You never really know with guys like that." "I'm not here to hurt you," he said. "I'm here because your real father made a lot of enemies. And some of those people are looking for you." "Why now?" I asked. "Why not 15 years ago?" "Because someone just found out you're still alive." He reached into his coat and handed me a file. I opened it, and my whole body froze. Inside were surveillance photos of me, walking home from school, riding my bike, sitting at the diner. Someone had been following me. This is why your adoptive parents were hiding you, he said. They weren't wrong. But keeping secrets doesn't stop danger. It just delays it. I flipped to the last page and saw a photo of my mom and dad. Not my birth parents. The ones who raised me. They're being watched too, he said. By who? He shook his head. I don't know yet. But it's someone who wants to make sure the past doesn't stay buried. I asked about my birth mom. I can't confirm anything, he said. But we think she's still alive. And hiding. The only reason you're still breathing is because she made sure you disappeared. I left that meeting feeling like I'd stepped into a movie. None of it felt real. But it was. Because when I got home, my dad was waiting on the porch. And he was holding the file I thought I'd hidden in my backpack. He didn't say a word. Just stared at me with this look I'd never seen before. Like everything we built, the life, the family, the love, it was all one heartbeat away from falling apart. My dad didn't speak for a full minute. He just stood there on the porch, flipping through that file like it was a roadmap to our destruction. Then he looked up at me and said the words I never expected. Get inside. Now. We sat at the kitchen table while my mom hovered by the sink, her hands trembling. I felt like I was on trial, except I had no idea what crime I'd committed, other than trying to find out who I really was. My dad finally broke the silence. Do you have any idea what you've done? I just wanted to know the truth, I said quietly. He slammed his fist down on the table, making the salt shaker jump. This isn't a game, Daniel. He only used my real name when he was serious. Dead serious. You think that man, Martin Bishop, is just some friendly guy trying to help you? He went on. He used to work for your biological father. And when your father vanished, Bishop was the one hired to clean up the mess. Mess? I asked. My mom sat down across from me, her voice barely above a whisper. There was a raid. A sting operation gone wrong. People died. Your father disappeared just before it happened. No one knows where he went. Some say he was killed. Others think he's still out there. My dad picked up where she left off. And Bishop? He's not doing this out of the kindness of his heart. He's looking for something your father left behind. And he thinks you know where it is. But I don't. I said. I didn't even know my father's name until a week ago. That doesn't matter, Dad said. If Bishop believes you're the key to finding whatever's missing, money, evidence, who knows, he won't stop until he has it. Or you. I sat back, dizzy from it all. Then why didn't you ever tell me? Why hide me like I was some secret? My mom started to cry. Because you were a child. You deserved a normal life. Not one filled with shadows and people watching you through windows. She reached out and held my hand. We didn't do it to hurt you. We did it to protect you. For the first time in days, I believed her. But it didn't make me feel any safer. That night, we packed bags. My dad said we were going to stay at my uncle's cabin up in the mountains for a few days. No cell service, no neighbors, just trees and silence. We need to disappear again. Just for a while, he said. Ben and Lila thought it was a vacation. I didn't correct them. I just helped load the car and tried not to shake every time a black SUV passed by. We got to the cabin just after dark. It was old, creaky, and smelled like dust and pine. But it was hidden, and that was what mattered. For the first 2 days, things were quiet. Too quiet. Then, on the third day, I woke up and found my mom gone. Her bed was empty. Her shoes were gone. But her phone was still on the table. Panic hit me like a wave. My dad tried to stay calm, but I could see it in his eyes. He was scared too. We searched the woods. Called her name until our voices cracked. Nothing. Then, just before sunset, a small box appeared on the front porch. No note. No label. Just a box. Dad made me and the kids go inside while he opened it. A few minutes later, he came back in, pale as a ghost. What was in it? I asked. He didn't answer. Just locked every door and window in the house, then sat down like someone had pulled the plug on his soul. Later that night, when everyone was asleep, I snuck into the living room and opened the box myself. Inside was a photo of my mom, bound, blindfolded, and a message written in thick black marker. We know who he is. We know what he has. Bring him home. That was the moment everything changed. This wasn't about family anymore. This wasn't about adoption or secrets or missing fathers. This was about survival. And whether I wanted it or not, I was the center of it all. The picture of my mom, tied up and blindfolded, haunted me for the rest of that night. I couldn't stop staring at it. There was no blood, no obvious bruises, but something about it was worse than violence. It was calculated. Like whoever took her knew it would destroy us slowly. My dad didn't talk for hours. Just sat in that chair by the fireplace, staring into the flames like he was trying to find an answer hidden in the smoke. Finally, he spoke. They know where we are. He didn't say how he knew. But somehow, I believed him. The next morning, a phone rang. Not ours. It was an old flip phone left on the back porch, inside a paper bag. No note. Just a number on the screen. Call me. My dad didn't want to answer it. I did. I pressed the green button and said nothing. A man's voice came on calm, even like he was ordering lunch. If you want her back, you know what to do. Who is this? I asked. You already know. There was a pause. Bring Daniel to the abandoned train yard south of Highway 11. Tonight, 9 p.m. Alone. The call ended. I looked at my dad, expecting him to say no. To scream. To break down. But he just nodded slowly. I'll go. No, I said. They want me. Exactly. Which is why you're not going. But deep down, I knew I didn't have a choice. My mom was out there somewhere, terrified, counting on us. Later that day, I made up my mind. I wasn't waiting for permission. I stole the keys to the truck, packed a flashlight, the burner phone, and the photo, and drove off around 8 p.m. without saying goodbye. The train yard looked like something out of a nightmare, rusted cars, broken tracks, weeds growing through the gravel. I parked far enough away to run if I had to, then walked in with my hands raised. I'm here. Silence. I kept walking. Every shadow felt like it was watching me. Every gust of wind felt like breath on my neck. Finally, a man stepped out from behind an old rail car. It was Martin Bishop. I knew you'd come. Where is she? I demanded. He gestured toward a nearby boxcar. Safe. For now. He looked older than before. More tired. Like even he was fed up with the game. Why are you doing this? I asked. He pulled out a small notebook and tossed it to me. Because this belonged to your father. I opened it. Inside were pages filled with numbers, names, and notes I didn't understand. But one name stood out. Elena Rowe. My mother. Your father kept records. Of everything, Bishop said. Drug runs. Payoffs. Blackmail. And he kept it hidden somewhere. We thought it was destroyed, until you showed up. I shook my head. I don't know anything about this. I believe you, he said. But someone else doesn't. I narrowed my eyes. Who? Bishop didn't answer. Just then, another figure stepped into view. Tall. Bald. Wearing a long black coat. He looked like a ghost with fists. Bishop flinched the second he saw him. You said you'd stay back. The man spoke, his voice low and cold. Kid's lying. He knows where it is. I don't. I yelled. He raised his hand and Bishop jumped in front of me. You touch him. The deal's off. The man stared at both of us, then turned and disappeared into the shadows. Bishop turned back to me, breathing hard. That man? He's not like me. He's not here for justice. He's here for revenge. I looked toward the boxcar. Let me see her. Please. He nodded once. We walked over. Inside, my mom was tied to a chair, but alive. Her eyes widened when she saw me. I ran to her and pulled off the blindfold. She was crying, shaking. Why did you come? You shouldn't be here. I hugged her, even as she tried to push me away. They would have killed you, she whispered. I looked back at Bishop. Let us go. He hesitated. You don't want the notebook, I said. You want what's in it? I'll help you. Just let her go. He stared at me for a long moment. Then he stepped aside. Take her. But I'm holding you to that promise. We got back to the truck and drove as fast as we could. My mom too shaken to speak. Me too numb to think. When we got back to the cabin, my dad was standing outside with Ben and Lila. He didn't yell. He didn't ask questions. He just ran to my mom and held her like he hadn't touched her in years. That night, after the kids were asleep, the three of us sat at the kitchen table. We can't keep running, I said. I know, my dad replied. Then my mom looked at me with red, swollen eyes. There's something you still don't know, she said. Something we've never told anyone. I leaned in. And then she whispered it. You're not the only one he left behind. I stared at my mom, not sure I'd heard her right. Wait, what do you mean I'm not the only one? She looked at my dad, who gave her the smallest nod, like he was finally ready to let this one out, too. You had a brother, Daniel, she said. Had. We don't know what happened to him, my dad added. All we know is that your biological mother gave birth to twins. You and another boy. When she gave you to us, he stayed behind. My mind went blank. A brother? A twin? I couldn't even process it. Why would she separate us? I asked. She didn't want to, my mom said. But your birth father made her. Said it was too dangerous to keep you both together. We think he was planning to use your brother for something dark. That's why your mother ran with you and begged us to take you. She wanted at least one of you to have a real life. I leaned back in my chair, my heart racing. So, he could still be out there? My dad nodded. If he's alive, he's probably involved in this mess. Maybe even deeper than you are. That thought made my skin crawl. What if he was already watching me? What if the people who took my mom weren't just looking for me? They were using him to find me. We didn't sleep that night. We just sat up, the three of us, trying to make sense of everything. The next morning, the burner phone rang again. It was Bishop. We need to talk, he said. Alone. I agreed to meet him back in town, in an abandoned church just off the main road. The place looked like it hadn't held a service in decades. The paint was peeling, the pews were cracked, and a raccoon ran past me on the way in. Real welcoming. Bishop was waiting near the altar. He looked different this time, tired, but also more human. There's something I need to tell you, he said. I already know about my brother. He didn't even flinch. Then you know why this isn't over. I don't even know his name. Eli. My chest tightened. Eli Rowe. Bishop walked over and handed me another photo. It was a boy my age, same eyes, same jawline. But the expression was colder. Sharper. Like he'd seen things no one should. This is from last year. He's been working with a man named Riker. The one who showed up at the train yard. They're after your father's notebook. Yes, but they're also after you. Why? Because they think you're the only one who knows the truth. And Eli, he doesn't just want to find you. He wants to become you. That didn't make sense. What do you mean? Your father gave you the life Eli was supposed to have. The good one. Eli was raised in the shadow of criminals and chaos. You were raised with love. He resents that. Deeply. I sat down on one of the broken pews. I felt like I was falling into a hole that had no bottom. Does he know about me? Bishop nodded. He's known for a while. But he's kept quiet, waiting for the right time to make a move. I looked at him. And why are you telling me all this now? He hesitated. Because I made a mistake. Years ago. I helped cover for your father. I thought I was protecting innocent people, but I was protecting monsters. And now, I'm trying to fix that. I didn't know whether to trust him. But at that point, trust wasn't something I could afford to wait for. I needed answers. And he was giving me more than anyone else had. Before I left, Bishop gave me one more thing, a sealed envelope. Give this to your parents, he said. If anything happens to me, they'll know what to do. I took it, heart pounding. As I walked out of the church, I caught sight of someone standing across the street, staring at me. Same height, same build, same face. It was like looking into a mirror, only darker. He didn't smile. He didn't wave. He just stood there. And then he vanished into the alley. I knew right then and there. Eli was real. He knew who I was. And now, he was coming. I didn't tell my parents about seeing Eli. Not yet. I wasn't even sure what I saw was real. Maybe it was my imagination playing tricks on me. Maybe I wanted to believe he was out there, because at least then all of this, everything I'd been through, would finally make sense. But deep down, I knew the truth. That wasn't a hallucination. It was him. And he was watching. Back at the cabin, I handed my dad the sealed envelope Bishop had given me. He opened it slowly, like it might explode. Inside was a single sheet of paper. And a map. A hand-drawn map with directions to a storage unit 2 towns over. Is this where the notebook is? I asked. My dad stared at it for a while, then shook his head. No. This isn't your father's handwriting. This is Elena's, your biological mother. That hit me harder than I expected. She left it. She must have known this day would come, my mom said softly. Maybe she wanted you to find it when you were ready. Then I'm ready now. We decided to go together. My dad and I. It was early morning when we got to the storage place. The clerk looked half asleep but handed us the key with barely a glance at the ID. Unit 203. We rolled up the door slowly. Inside was dust, cobwebs, and an old chest covered with a tarp. No booby traps. No glowing briefcase. Just the weight of years pressing in from every side. We opened the chest. Inside were dozens of notebooks, some handwritten, others typed. All labeled. All dated. It was a timeline. A journal. A confession. Each page was a piece of my father's empire, what he built, what he destroyed, who he crossed, who he paid off. And right in the middle of it all, a file marked, Eli. I opened it, hands trembling. He'd been watched too. Groomed. Used. There were photos of him as a kid. Notes about his behavior. Reports from people who were clearly working for my father. Pages and pages outlining his development into someone they called the successor. I closed the folder and sat back. Why would anyone do this to a child? I asked. My dad didn't answer. He didn't need to. The silence was enough. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept picturing Eli, what kind of life he had, who he became, and why he hated me so much. And then, my phone buzzed. Blocked number. I answered it. I thought you might finally be ready to talk, the voice said. Eli. He sounded exactly like me, but colder, like he hadn't smiled in years. You don't have to do this, I said. He chuckled. You still think you're the good guy in all this. But we both came from the same place. The only difference is, you were allowed to forget. I didn't choose this. No, he said. But you benefited from it. While I was fighting to survive, you were living in a house with warm meals and birthday parties. You had parents who tucked you in. I had criminals teaching me how to lie and cheat before I could spell my own name. I didn't know about you, I said. I would have helped. You can help now, he said. Meet me. Alone. No tricks. Just you and me. Where? He paused. The old bridge. Tomorrow at midnight. The line went dead. I stared at the phone for a long time. I should have told someone. My dad. Bishop. Anyone. But I didn't. I had to see for myself. I had to know if there was still a piece of him left to save. Midnight. The old bridge. The place was falling apart, closed off to cars, but still standing over the river like a skeleton from another life. He was already there, leaning against the railing, looking out at the dark water. When he turned, I almost lost my balance. He looked just like me, but harder. Thinner. A faint scar under his eye. Same eyes though. Exactly the same. I used to dream about this moment, he said. The day we'd finally meet. Eli. No, he interrupted. Don't try to fix it. You can't. I took a step forward. Then why am I here? He reached into his coat. I tensed up, but he pulled out one of the notebooks. My father's. I already have what I need, but I wanted you to see it for yourself. I wanted you to know what he did, what he built, and how he destroyed everything in the process. You don't have to follow in his footsteps. Eli laughed, cold and bitter. I'm not following him. I'm burning down what's left. I realized too late what he meant. There was a fire. In the distance, I saw the glow coming from the hills near the cabin. No. I told you, Daniel. I didn't come here to meet my brother. I came here to bury him. I turned and ran faster than I ever had in my life. I've never driven that fast in my life. The trees were a blur. My hands were shaking so bad I could barely keep the truck on the road. I just kept thinking, get there, get there, get there. The sky over the hills was glowing orange now. Smoke was rising fast. Too fast. When I got close, I could see it wasn't the cabin itself that was burning, it was the woods behind it. But the fire was spreading, closing in like a predator, fast and wild. I slammed on the brakes and jumped out before the truck even stopped. Mom. Dad. I shouted, running up the dirt path. Ben. Lila. The front door flew open. My dad was dragging out bags, eyes wide and wild. My mom was right behind him, holding Lila in her arms. Ben came stumbling out next, coughing. Where were you? My dad yelled. We thought. There's no time. I screamed. Eli did this. We have to go now. The wind shifted, sending sparks whipping toward us. I could feel the heat on my face, on my neck. The trees nearest the cabin were already catching. We had seconds, maybe less. We loaded into the truck in silence, the roar of flames drowning everything out. I was behind the wheel. My dad was in the passenger seat. The rest were in the back, huddled together. We didn't speak. We just drove. Miles later, once the fire was behind us and the smoke had thinned, we pulled over at a rest stop. I killed the engine. My arms were shaking too hard to drive any farther. No one said anything for a long time. Finally, my dad turned to me. You saw him, didn't you? I nodded slowly. He said, he just wanted to burn everything down. My mom looked out the window, eyes glassy. That fire could have killed us all. But it didn't, I said. He wanted to scare us. He wanted to send a message. What kind of message is that? Ben asked, his voice cracking. That he's not done. The rest of that night passed in a haze. We found a cheap motel. Cracked walls, buzzing light fixtures, a vending machine that only took coins. It might as well have been heaven. The next morning, Bishop called. I saw the fire on the news, he said. Is everyone alive? Barely. There was a pause. I found something, he said. About Eli. You need to see it. He sent a location, another safe house, this one on the edge of a ghost town in the desert. I don't even know how he found it. I didn't ask. We drove out there the same day. The place looked abandoned. Rusted fences. A dried-up gas station. A few boarded-up houses. But the address was real, and Bishop was waiting. Inside the house, there were boxes stacked high. Files. Photos. Maps. It was like walking into a war room. He's planning something big, Bishop said, pointing to a corkboard. We don't know what yet, but he's not acting alone. What do you mean? He handed me a photo. It was Eli, standing beside a man I'd never seen before. Mid-50s. Tall. Worn face. Cold eyes. That's Marcus Riker, Bishop said. He was your father's second in command. When your dad vanished, Riker tried to take over the operation. I stared at the photo. So that's who raised Eli. Bishop nodded. He taught him everything your father didn't get the chance to. There was something else on the board, a plan. Diagrams. A list of names. All of them crossed out, except one. Mine. What is this? A hit list, Bishop said. Eli's finishing what Riker started. But this time, he's making it personal. I stepped back, trying to breathe. I need to stop him, I said. Whatever he's planning, I can't let him hurt anyone else. Then you need to be ready for what comes next, Bishop said. Because he's not just your brother anymore. He's the reflection of everything your life could have been. That night, I made a decision. No more hiding. No more running. I sat my parents down, and I told them everything about the bridge, the fire, the plan, and the man behind it all. I need to end this, I said. We'll go with you, my dad said immediately. I shook my head. No. If something happens, they'll come after you too. I have to do this on my own. My mom was crying now. Silent tears. She didn't try to stop me. She just stood up and hugged me so tight I thought I might break. You come back to us, she whispered. I will. I had no idea if that was true. The night was colder than I expected, the wind biting through my jacket like it wanted to warn me to turn back. But I didn't. I drove out to the coordinates Bishop gave me, the outskirts of an old warehouse district, where the shadows swallowed the streetlights whole. I parked in an alley, heart pounding so loud I thought it might burst through my chest. And then I saw him. Eli. Standing there, hands in his pockets, looking every bit like the brother I never wanted to meet, and every bit like the enemy I had to stop. You came, he said, voice low and dry. I wondered if you would. I swallowed the fear. It doesn't have to end like this, Eli. He laughed, a bitter, broken sound. Doesn't it? You got the good life. The easy path. I had to fight for every scrap. Then fight me, I said. But don't bring our family into this. His eyes narrowed. It's too late for that. Suddenly, footsteps echoed behind me. Bishop stepped into the light, gun drawn but steady. Drop it, Eli, he said. Eli smirked. You always did have good timing. Before anyone could react, Eli pulled a knife from his coat. Bishop lunged forward, but Eli was faster. A struggle broke out. Sharp metal, angry shouts, desperate grunts. I wanted to help, but I froze. Then Bishop shouted, Run, Daniel. I didn't hesitate. I turned and bolted. Behind me, I heard a scream. When I dared to look back, Bishop was on the ground, Eli standing over him. Say goodbye, Eli said coldly. I swallowed hard. This wasn't just a fight. It was war. I called the police with trembling hands and gave them the location. But by the time the sirens came, Bishop was gone. Eli had vanished into the night. I sat there, heartbroken and shaking, tears streaming down my face. Because Bishop had saved me. Because Bishop had paid the price. And because I was alone. The next weeks were a blur. Police investigations, media questions, family consolations. My parents were safe, but the house was empty. Eli was still out there somewhere. And I was left with a choice. Let the past destroy me. Or fight to rebuild. This story isn't over. But one thing's clear. Family isn't just who you're born to. It's who fights for you. Even when everything is against you. It took months for things to settle. The police never found Eli. Sometimes I wonder if they ever will. But in the quiet that followed the storm, my family started to heal. My mom, dad, Ben, and Lila, they became my anchor. We moved into a small apartment in town. Nothing fancy, but it was ours. One night, sitting around the kitchen table, my mom looked at me and smiled. You're stronger than you know. I nodded. Because I finally believed her. I had lost so much, my innocence, my trust, my brother, but I hadn't lost everything. And maybe that was enough. We started rebuilding from scratch. School got easier. Work got better. And for the first time in years, I dreamed about the future. Not the past. The past was gone. And this time, I was the one in control. I don't know where Eli is. Maybe he's still out there, chasing shadows. But I know one thing. No matter what comes next, I have my family. And that's something no fire, no secret, no danger can ever take away. Thanks for following this story. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more.